Hi, everybody. Hello. Thank you so much for coming and for joining again. Number one, tried and tested remedies. And these are remedies that I mainly mentioned last week. And since then, I've had more cases. I've had more feedback from around the world. And these are remedies I know that work. But I've divided them or started to divide them into stages, which is very important, because the remedies for the end stage are not the same as the remedies for the first stage. So I've divided this into 3 stages. The first is the beginning of the infection, when there's more coryza, cold symptoms. You feel, do I have a cold? What is this? What's happening? The early infection. The second, when it starts to go into usually difficulty breathing and more severe symptoms, great weakness, and the cough and everything else. We will see those symptoms. And finally, the last stage is when the serious pathology comes in, which could be a death thing if things don't go well. And that is number 3, stages 1, 2, 3. So the first one I mentioned was aconite, and I put it then in stage 1, and in brackets I put it in stage 0.1 because, like I said last week, they say if you've given aconite, it's already too late usually. That's what comes right in the beginning, together with that little bit of cold, that little bit of infection, that little bit of fear, but it's been seen to work already. Secondly, mercury. Merc is stage 1 and stage 2. I'm giving them underlines here. You see this one underline? That means that aconite is okay. It's not top of the list, whereas mercury, I've given 2 underlines. It's higher up in the list, and that's appropriate to stage 1 and stage 2. Definitely helps. People have been using it successfully. I've used it successfully. And just keep your eyes open if it's Merc Viv, Merc IR, Merc IF, or even Merc corrosivus. That depends on the particular case. Mainly, I have used Merc Viv. Phosphorus and phosphoric acid. Those 2 remedies fit stages 1, 2, and 3. I've given them 4 underlines here because they have helped many cases already. People are using them. I've used them. Their symptoms come up again and again. Really good. You know very well how to differentiate Phos-Ac and Phos. Things like desire for cold drinks and the fatigue of Phos-Ac and the normal kind of stuff. It's not too hard to differentiate. Those have proved very efficient remedies. The most efficient remedy has proved to be Antat in stages 2 and 3, the coughs, the pneumonias, and everything else. I showed you why I came to it theoretically last week, both from the totality and from the peculiar sensation that many people have reported of being drowned with the pneumonia, and that is only found under Antimonium tartaricum. So that really goes together with this kind of pneumonia. Also, many people have reported, and I have seen too, the sleepiness during the fever, the white tongue. These are things that have come up again and again, the cough, the difficult expectoration. So antimonium tart has proved itself very well, more for the latter stages than the earlier stages. Gelsemium, less dramatic in terms of improvement. People have had successes and failures with it. It's not in the front line, and it's more the early stage 1 and 2, that beginning of flu, those sinuses, those numbness and similar things. Bryonia, it comes up in the repertory. People have had cases that have been helped by it in all 3 stages. It's a good remedy. It's helped cases. So as in paragraph 1, it's good. And these remedies are all tried and tested. They work. However, the fact that they work now, this is what I explained last time, does not mean they are really part of the genus, because you can get remedies that are not part of the genus that do work. They help cases, just like you get a lycopodium patient. He's been lycopodium all his life. He's been lycopodium for 5 lives before that. He's lycopodium all over. but he has a pain in the calf, we strain the muscle, better from walk, first motion, worse first motion, better continuous. You give him Rustox, it helps him. You say there, Rustox is his constitutional remedy. No, it's not. It just fits part of him. It's not going to cure the whole of him. In fact, long-term, it will palliate him. Long-term, it will suppress him. So if we keep giving it, that is. So we can't say that all of these are, but I would, the ones that are underlined 4 times, I think these are the FOS or FOS act, Antimonium tartaricum, are definitely part of the genus. Now, we said 2 points of view, the bird eye view, the anti-view. That was the anti-view. And we carry on doing that all the time, collecting remedies from cases. We don't stop that, but we have to soar to the bird's eye view. And the way to soar is first through paragraph 100 and then through paragraph 102. Here is 102. I'm reminding you, we won't go into it in depth. I rarely go into it in depth in a full-term epidemic course because you can discuss this a lot. There's always much more hidden in there. And I discovered things in paragraph 102 only years after I was working with it with AIDS in Africa, secrets that are hidden within and that are extremely practical and useful practically. But this is just a short resume. We're doing, not going into the philosophy now, but Hahnemann says not more spun out and verbose. That means that the cases shouldn't be lengthy, too lengthy. I think that is a wonderful sentence, even in individual cases, meaning when you get a case from somebody that's 20 pages long and is like the War and Peace novel about their life, I don't find it helpful in taking a case. In fact, I find it retracts from the case, but we need to make it more significant, more characteristic in the way of partly the peculiarities on one hand, and the other thing, the general symptoms, i.e. loss of appetite, sleeplessness, etc. And they become more sharp as we go along. So if we say lack of appetite, later it might be lack of appetite in the morning, later it might be lack of appetite only during the chill, and we can refine it. This is a whole science of art of how to go about it. But the important thing here in paragraph 102 later on, Hahnemann says that all these suffering from the epidemic are suffering from the same disease, from the same source. And that is what counts, the major thing we discussed the last time, meaning just what I said a moment ago, all these remedies here can be the genus epidemicus, and they therefore help the source. By curing these people, you cure the source, meaning you're going to change the worldwide energetics and dynamics and spirituality of where that epidemic comes from. From curing one person, you will change things for everybody in a big way, bigger than you can ever imagine. And this is not just theory, we have seen it practically. However, you see these remedies here, that's your Rustox on the side or other remedies that are not necessarily part of the epidemic, but still help to a certain degree. And those can be red herrings. They can be, we can make mistakes with those sometimes. With paragraph 2, we need to see many cases. Here, Hahnemann says several patients of different constitution. A complete survey of the morbid picture cannot be learned from one single patient. You will very unlikely find the remedies from the first patient or find one remedy. I explained that last time in relationship to provings, meaning you give a group of people a proving remedy. What is the last proving that I did? That's right, Japan, Sakura, cherry blossom. You give it to a group of 30 people. You are not going to get cherry blossom symptoms the same in everybody. Each person through their constitution will shine the remedy in a different way. And it's the same with epidemic. You have one source to the epidemic, but each one will shine it in a different way, each constitution, which is why there's not one remedy for a genus epidemicus, which is why we have to see as many cases as possible. Good. And here Lao Tzu in chapter 54 says exactly that. That's the best homeopathic textbook other than the Organon and Kent. Therefore, look at the body as body, look at the family as family, look at the village as village, look at the nation as nation, look at the universe as universe. How do I know that the universe is like this? By looking. Okay, very good. So I looked, and this is what I started to do this week, is to collect the cases. Now, last week I told you I would do it on my MMM program, but I decided to shift to Excel because I wanted more parameters than I had at the moment on the MMM. The following parameters: location, sensation, modality, extension, stages 1, 2, and 3. So you can see example: frontal sinuses, sensation; fullness, pressure, congestion, sensation, no modalities. And then stages: stage 1, intensity 4, strange, rare, and peculiar for the individual, meaning that are they usually getting sinuses or fullness in the sinuses? In this case, no. And then the strange, rare, and peculiar compared to the epidemic. This is another parameter. It's too early to have that. We will have it later. I'll talk about it in a moment, a bit later, okay? And then I put in the repertory rubric that I'm using here. I used a combination of all frontal sinuses. Later, I changed that to all sinuses because I saw it wasn't just a frontal sinus effect. And I wrote here the cases that had that strongly. If many cases had it, I just wrote plus, 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 but I can refer to all the cases that I've collected to see which have that symptom. The total number of cases, if there were many, I just wrote 10 plus plus. The importance as a common symptom, how important that is as a common symptom, the importance as a strange, rare, and peculiar symptom. Now, people, this is stuff I don't usually do, and I don't believe anybody has done before epidemic on an Excel sheet. Maybe they have, and that's great, but it's good because I can see at a glance what is happening in this epidemic, and I have found it very useful. Later on, my trusted manager, Liz, is going to take that and together with her son, create formulas over here relating to the total number of symptoms, the importance common, the strange, rare, and peculiars, and that will be awesome in my opinion. And I am filling it up all the time. As you can see, lots of cases over here, lots of symptoms that I put in. In fact, I've received so many cases in the last couple of days. I have been struggling to put all the symptoms in and to refine it. But I know that kind people who are more meticulous than me will be able to do that and help out with that, and that is great. I know some other people have started creating databases, awesome, because we need the posidemic here, we need to bring it all together. Great. Now, so these are the symptoms. Yeah, let me just give you a couple of examples of some prominent ones that have, let's say, a 5 on the common fever. Everybody has a fever, so it's very common. Whereas the delusion of pointed trees and thoughts of pointed trees, specifically cypressia trees, was only 1 person, and therefore I gave it a strong score in strange, rare, and peculiar. And for instance, over here, a number 4 would be cough frequent, cough choking, and over here, what is this? Sleepiness with fever is quite common. Quite a lot of people had that, not only weakness, but sleepiness. Here we have another one, fever sudden. And, you know, here we have some strange and peculiars, no discharge with the cough. And wanting to tell the whole world of a recovery, I gave that a 4, etc., etc., etc. Thank you all for being here, and all the best to you.